So when it comes to role play and using the messaging framework, putting these things together can be a real powerful one-two punch. But by having just a messaging framework and doing role plays, it's not really enough. For me personally, I don't really like to put the role play into action until we actually start to do live calling. And so for me as a sales leader, what I'm typically going to do is roll out the messaging framework. I'm going to provide that script to my team. This is how a conversation should flow. Here's some examples. This is the exact phraseology we want to use. And remember, if we have a solid messaging framework, we should be able to actually seed or elicit certain types of responses and actually map out the entire conversation. We've talked about that in previous videos, and we'll talk about that in future videos on the different scenarios that we can leverage and the phraseology that we can use to elicit pretty much 80 to 90% of a conversation flow. Now, that might not go down from top to bottom. It might zig and zag here, but by saying certain phrases, we can get conversations to certain stages of a workflow and be prepared for 80 to 90% of those conversations. So once the framework is in place, and before I get into too much role play, what I like to do is actually get into live cold calling. And what I do here is, as a sales leader, I'm going to pull up a list and I'm going to start by providing real live calls myself, using the messaging, going through the framework. And then between each connect, we're going to pause and we're going to have the team who's listening in provide feedback. What went well, what could be done differently, and actually identify an area where the conversation fell off. Where the conversation fell off, that's our coachable moment. That coachable moment now becomes a role play. So let's actually go in there. Let's figure out where the conversation fell off. If it was at the intro because I just came in a little bit soft, we're going to talk about why, and then we're going to role play that intro. And that's what we're going to do in rapid fire. And we're going to go around the group. Me as the leader might act as the caller. I'm going to have each person listening in act as a rep, and we rapid fire through that. Each time I say, hi, this is my name, it restarts the conversation. And we could go after 3, 4, 5, 6 rapid fire role plays between each reps in a matter of a few minutes. Then we go back to a live call again. And I'm going to be the one making a few more calls here. Do that a few times, 3, 4, 5 connects, a couple different coachable moments. If you're, once you feel prepared there, now we could shift over to the first rep and have the rep now go through that exercise. Each time there's a coachable moment, we're going to role play in that scenario and further progress the conversations. Within an hour, hour and a half blitz and coach session, you're going to do what most teams do in a matter of a few weeks to a month. And you can condense that down to an hour and a half, maybe a 2-hour live blitz and coach session. So that's how I like to use role play. We're going to use our framework. We're going to use coachable moments, and we're going to rapid fire those scenarios with different elements coming from the actual conversation, not just theoretical or practice scenarios, so that we can actually say things that real live prospects are saying and have that phraseology updated if we're identifying areas that don't make sense from what we might have prescribed in our messaging framework. 80 to 90% of the words, phrases, and sentences that we craft should elicit certain types of responses, but that doesn't mean that we don't have it perfect right out the gate. And what we need to do then is start to make the necessary adjustments so that everybody feels really comfortable. And this role play scenario is going to help you take your cold calling to a whole nother level. Let's keep theory and practice in one room. And what that's going to do is progress the success of your messaging framework and instill confidence for your reps when making calls.